Hi, welcome to this episode of Writing Academia. I am Leigh Hall. You can find me online through email if you have questions about what it means to write and publish in academia. Reach out to me, leahall39@gmail.com, and you can also find me online at teachingacademia.com, where we talk about issues of teaching, writing, and learning in higher education. So today we're going to be looking at a question that a viewer sent in, and it is on multitasking, and specifically, how do you deal with running multiple manuscripts at a time? So let's take a look at the question. When you have multiple manuscripts in progress, excuse me, when you have multiple manuscripts in progress, how do you effectively go about multitasking on them, and how do you prioritize them? So let's talk about this for a minute, because I think it's easy to have too much to do at once. I'm not sure, right? When you have multiple manuscripts in progress, you don't want to get overwhelmed. So for me, it's easiest to have, we'll just assume that I have no manuscripts out for review. I'm starting from scratch. It's easy for me to have two manuscripts going at once. And for me, having two manuscripts going at once, these are both going to be journal articles. I'm not talking about books, or it could be a journal article and a book chapter. I'm going to have a journal article that I'm working on that's going to be going to a top tier publisher. And then my second piece would be something that might be going to a practitioner journal, or it could be a book chapter, or it could be an invited column, right? It's something that, while it still does take a lot of work and time, it doesn't take as much time as my top tier journal piece, okay? So first of all, if I'm going to be working on two manuscripts at once, that's how I'm going to think about it. And then you're not going to see me working on two top tier pieces at once, because it's too much and it's not going to get done well, honestly. And I think it's going to be not an efficient use of my time, because it's going to take me so long to do them both. I found doing one top tier and then one practitioner or a book chapter or a column at a time, those are really effective uses of my time if you want to think about quality and quantity. All right, so how do I think about, multitasking on them? Well, generally with a top tier journal piece, I'm going to think about working on it 3 to 4 days a week for about 2 hours at a time. And then I'm going to take that other piece, right, that's, a book chapter or a column, or a practitioner piece, something that's smaller in size, and I'm going to work on it for an hour to an hour and a half, probably 3 days a week. Could be 2 days a week every now and then. It's not going to take as much time as the top tier piece. Typically, I work on it all at once. So I like to write in the morning. So I would have like from 8 to 11 blocked out, and I would work for about 8 to 10, 2 hours from 8 a.m. to 10 a.m. on the top tier piece, because that's going to be the piece for me that's the most challenging piece. I want to do it first thing because I'm freshest, but also because I want to get it over with. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to move on to the other piece, and I'm going to work on that, for an hour, maybe an hour and a half, something like that. And sometimes with that 8 to 10 block where I'm working on the more challenging piece, I might find that I only needed an hour or an hour and a half that day, and then I'm in a good stopping point, and maybe the next pickup point is, I don't want to take it on that day. I want to wait till the next day. So then I just have a little bit more time to devote, right, to that other piece. So that's how I think about doing it. That's how I think about prioritizing them. I would not do more than that. I hear about people that say, oh, I'm working on 3 or 4 manuscripts at once. And how are you going to get that done, right? Because there's only so much time in a day and in a week, and you really need to stay consistent with one manuscript over time. So doing more than one big piece at a time is going to be particularly challenging. Now, there's a question, and I'm going to follow up with this in our video next week about what do you do when you have articles out for revise and resubmit, and you start working on something, and then you have your revisions come back, because that's a different kind of thing in terms of multitasking and prioritizing. So we will talk about that next week. But for this week, my advice is, if you're going to do multiple manuscripts, and I think, particularly if you're at an R1 that you want to be working on multiple manuscripts, pick your top tier journal piece, have that going, and then have a secondary piece underneath it that's not going to take as much time and effort as your top tier piece. Those secondary pieces are still important. They speak to a critical audience. You want them on your CV. You want to be talking to multiple audiences. but just having those two pieces in place is going to be enough to really get the ball rolling and get you to develop quality and the quantity that you're going to want in your work. All right, so if you liked what you heard here, please hit the subscribe button. And new videos come out every week, every Tuesday. Please feel free to follow me online, teachingacademia.com. We talk about issues of teaching, learning, and writing in higher education.